Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So Nat Geo and Disney Plus just released the Fauci documentary. It's come under fire because it's at a 2% rating on Rotten Tomatoes from the audience score, but sitting at 91% with critics. Now, a lot of people have addressed this already and compared it with Dave Chappelle and other movies that are showing the opposite effect, where audiences are praising the movie, but critics are trashing a movie. I'm not going to go into that too much, but I want to go into something that Fauci actually said in the documentary, because I actually did watch most of it, all the stuff that I could get through. I'm just going to go through a few things and kind of what it was like and what people are actually saying about this and why it's got a 2% rating from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. So don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this one out, and let's take a look. So here it is on Rotten Tomatoes, Fauci documentary, 91% on critics' reviews and 2% on audience score. And it says now over 500 plus ratings, because when I tweeted this out, it had 250 plus ratings at 2%. Now this is 20 minutes ago, half a star, an hour ago, half a star, 2 hours, half a star, half a star, half a star, half a star. Now, is this review bombing? Let's go to that. Is this review bombing? I expected some propaganda and ended up with a sizable helping. I don't doubt Fauci has been a good father or any of that, but this man has failed in his public servant role, especially during the pandemic. Fails to mention many of the freedom of information documents that have come out showing, allegedly, Fauci has not been truthful or transparent with regards to the origin of the pandemic. Yes, I didn't see any of that in this documentary. Mostly what this documentary covered was his life from early on in his career and how many different presidents he served, and had photos with like Bush, Obama, Trump obviously, and he had Clinton. But it covered a lot of the stuff from his earlier career, like the AIDS epidemic and Ebola later on. There was some COVID stuff, but mostly it was all about his detractors and how many people were idolizing him for what they believe was what he was doing was right, and making candles that he was the savior and other artwork that made him look like he was supposed to be the savior of this whole pandemic. Seems kind of one-sided and very scripted, says this guy, Jonathan. Odd choice of time to make and release. I kind of assumed he was working on the pandemic, not filming a movie. Yes, that's what have we've been hearing. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Fauci's busy. He's got stuff to do. He's trying to save the country. He's trying to save the world. He's doing his job. He's doing his best. We got the vaccines. All this he's under immense pressure and stress. Well, hang on. He's doing documentaries. He's doing all this. If this was an actual documentary that was supposed to be detailing the times of this man's life and the time of now, it shouldn't be coming out now. Because if you've got some allegations from the origins of the pandemic that apparently, allegedly, he could have been tied to, you would want to gather more evidence to be building this case and then releasing this while you have everything together. But there was nothing of that in this documentary that I saw. None of that. It's all just about how awesome he was and how hard he's taken the pressure, mostly how he built up his career from other epidemics and crises. Too political for a documentary. Many moments you had a distinct feeling this was leaning heavily towards propaganda. The actual things that I had an issue with were right here, where he said in the documentary he came across an article in Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report about the very beginning of the AIDS epidemic. So when it says in June 1981, in this publication, 5 young men, all active homosexuals, contracted this pneumonia. And then he says, being a busy young investigator, he just tossed it to the side because he thought it was a fluke. And then a month later, it comes out another 26 patients had the same thing. And then he jumped on it. So it took him a whole month when he first saw it to actually do something about it. So let's take a look at what he says at the very end of the documentary. So he said this COVID pandemic reminds him of when they were struggling to develop effective therapies for the AIDS crisis. And he says, if we'd gotten it a day earlier, a week earlier, a month earlier, these number of people would not have died. That's what he said. Well, you just said in this documentary before, you tossed aside a report in a magazine about morbidity and mortality rates. You just tossed it aside because you were a busy young investigator. And then a month later, what comes out? It's jumped up to 26. There's another 26 cases. Well, hang on. You're standing there talking about catching it early when you denied the evidence. And now people have got to watch a documentary about you being the savior of COVID when that's what you did back for AIDS. Like most of the stuff in this is skipped through. It's about his life, his daughter, people on Fox News talking about him. There you go, Ebola, when he was younger, the AIDS. And then there was a bit about the beginning of COVID and then how he dealt with Trump, how Trump dealt with him. But there's really nothing much that ties into what actually happened. It's just about his life and a little bit of the response to COVID. It's understandable why people are writing reviews all these half-star, 1-star, max 2-star reviews, and resulting in a 2% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So I wonder where this film will end up. 2% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, 91% from critics. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this one out, and I'll see you in the next one.